Welcome to Season 2 of Skillcast, the podcast by the London Organisational Skills Development. My name is Nurbanu, and I am your host. I'm thrilled to have you join me on this journey of growth and discovery. Each episode, we're sitting down with incredible guests, think experts, pros, and inspiring go-getters who'll share the stories and skills that fuel this success. Whether you're here to sharpen your own skills, get inspired, or just enjoy some awesome conversations, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Welcome to Skillcast, Jahnvi. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, so I'm Jahnvi Kohle and I am a director and a producer. Recently we did two web series and one film in Hindi and Marathi, which is like my mother tongue. So yeah,
Amazing.
That was it.
So a director, how did that all get started?
So I think it got started actually when I was pretty young. I think in 7th standard itself I started writing and all. But only after 10th I started pursuing it very seriously. So if like other people, actually not like other people, my journey actually started really early. Like I was just 14 when I started, working. And it was, initially it was writing. Then for me, if a story has to be executed, right, then you have to do more than writing. It just can't be, you write and then you give it to someone else, right? And then I thought, you know what? I cannot give it to someone else. I want to see it through. So then I studied direction. And then when I studied direction, I was like, okay, a picture is not made while we are shooting it. It is actually made on a table, like edit table. And then I did editing for a few years. And after that, I was like, alone I can only make one film, or like I can tell one story. But if I want to tell or give platform to more stories, and I have that power that I can do that. And if I want to give that platform to more stories, then it is only possible if I open my own production house. And so and then that's how it all started. It is not a small journey for sure, but I think I had like support of my parents and my friends and everyone, and that's why I could get my checklist off and do all of those things.
So the film industry, do you find that it's more male dominated, or do you find a lot of female directors these days?
So initially, when I started in 2011-12, I was like, for my graduation, I went to Hyderabad. And at that time, I would say, like, only if a female is working, she was mostly acting or doing makeup or, costume. There was no prominent female director in the space at that time. Like, obviously, there was in Hindi, but where I was working at that point, it was not. Like, there was so many times that I was surrounded by 70 male and 90, a very male dominated force. But I never really felt like an outsider or like something or unsafe, probably because of the people that I associated with. Like, the minute I would see a red flag, I would just walk off from the room. Like, that was the kind of thing that I did to protect myself. And so the people that I chose to work with were always people who were respectful. And that's why I personally never had to face such a big problem, probably. Yeah.
So you mentioned red flags. What kind of red flags are we referring to here?
I think as a girl, like how a person is looking at you, or what, like midnight, like like there are boundaries that you set. Mm-hmm. And I used to set boundaries very early on in my life. Like, I knew my boundaries very early on and like how to navigate through that. So for me, I always had those boundaries, and the minute somebody used to cross those boundaries, I used to know that this is not something that I could, be okay working with, because I love making films. I love telling stories. And if anything that is making me not love it or, hate that process, then that's,
That's a very bold and confident thing to do and say. How did you develop that sort of boldness and confidence to kind of just say, no, this is wrong? Because some people, there are a lot of females out there that will kind of just let things slide because they want to be in the industry. They just want to reach the top, and sometimes they feel they have to be quite submissive. How did you kind of get to that personality, that bold, confident personality?
I think you know that already. I think it's my parents. Like they get like 110% credit for this. So there were times when I was alone in a different city altogether, and I used to call my father crying, and I used to call my mother crying that I don't know what I'm doing here. This is such a male-dominated field and all. And they used to tell me that you're a girl. That does not mean that you cannot succeed in what you're doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that does not mean that you cannot succeed in what you're doing. It only means that you will stand out, and it's okay. You will always. So and I think the way I am wired also, like I don't let people or people's opinion bother me very easily. I don't think I was always like that. But I think from childhood, the way I was wired was probably like that. It didn't really matter.
What are some of the things that you say to yourself when you're unsure about a situation where you feel, I feel like someone's crossing my boundaries, but I just don't know. Have you ever been in that situation before?
Okay, this is so weird, but my body and my mind immediately reacts to someone doing that. It's not even like I don't know if I'm comfortable. If it's directly like, no, it's over. This is not working out. Like the minute a person starts getting like, there are like things like now we are sitting like this, but if someone comes and sits right next to you, right? And so I have like very physical boundaries as well, and very mental and the way you talk boundaries as well. So I think for me, that is something that is like a no.
Yeah, boundaries. You've just given me the skill of boundary, just knowing when it's time and being and just knowing. And it sounds like you're quite intuitive in that sense.
Yeah.
Is that intuitive that you've had from like childhood, or is it something that through experiences your intuition has kind of sharpened?
I think with experience our intuition sharpens, obviously, but it is something that obviously, like, I don't know when it started getting so blunt, if if that is the right word. But it was always, I think it was always there. I think it was like I always knew if something was right and something was wrong. Also, like, I grew up in a very healthy environment. Like, even though we were not rich or anything, like, it was not a very rich household or something. I mean, obviously, my parents became rich after my growing up phase. But it was always a very loving family. And, like, conversations were always open and they always kind of knew. And I had that, I think the most important thing is I always had that space to talk to them. Like, this is something that I'm not feeling good about, or this is something that I'm feeling good about, or, things like that. And they would always guide me. And like, you said before also, like, what happens in in the situations where I don't know what to do, I actually talk to my parents. That is so, but it is something, it is what it is, right? Like, I do talk to them, and, I tell them that, but only if I've tried solving the problem like 100 times. Like, I know that I cannot do it right now, or I don't have the mental or physical capacity to do it anymore. Only then I will ask them, ki, I don't know what to do anymore. Please, can you help me? And only if I've tried, they will help me. They will not help me for the sake of helping me. They will make sure that I've really failed and have tried my best. And only then they will, like, you know what, probably do this or something like that.
What is it? How is it that your parents created that safe space to just be able to kind of just bluntly just tell them what's going on and ask them for support or question? Like you said, you're comfortable talking to your parents because they've supported you. What is it that they did to make you feel that way?
See, I think, and this is what I've understood also, like, no matter what comes in my life, I will never really think of, this might trigger some people, but I will never think of committing suicide or anything, that I can actually say it. And I've observed that weak mindset comes from weak childhoods. Okay. That because as a child, if you're not protected, then I think the world starts affecting you more. And yeah, but that is obviously that is something that you can heal eventually in life. But in my case, whatever problems or whatever situations I've faced were external, and they were not really internal or not in my house. And that kind of gave me the strength to face. There is this story, right? Like if it's one stick, and then you have bunch of sticks, breaking one stick is always easier, and breaking bunch of sticks is going to be difficult. So you kind of get that tribe around you. You get that, you get the people around you you can trust, and who have your back in any situation. And that's how you build your community, build your tribe, and and then have that support, and making sure that it's the tribe that supports you. You support them. It's not a one-way street. It is never one-way street. I support you, you support me. And that's how you can do it healthily, and then you can build each other up. There is no you build me up and I will destroy you. No, that does not work. I think it is a very combined effort. So, coming back to that question, I think my parents didn't get that growing up in India. So, they kind of knew that they wanted to break that. Yeah, so they knew that.
Like they basically like a pattern break. They wanted to change
Yeah.
that. So, you know how they say like childhood, generational this generational trauma.
That
they
you're
broke that
breaking.
cycle,
Yeah.
whereas they're the change makers. So, your parents were a quite pivotal role in shaping you who you are and creating
Exactly.
you basically. And
and I think all three of us, me and my father have an important role in shaping my mother. Me and my mother have a very important role in shaping my father, and obviously they both have a very important. So it's a teamwork. Like that's what I'm trying to say. And it was just not both of them. It was a community that we built around us. It was just not like you've come to my place, it's never the three of us. It's always a family and a community that we carry together. And that's what has kept us going for so long. Like we come from nothing. So, my father has friendships which last 25 years or 20 years or 30 years, and people who are still working with us regardless the situations that we faced or they faced. And that kind of strong community, because we never grow ourselves, we all grow together, and that's the thing that I think has really helped us.
No, exactly. That's the same with us.
Yeah.
When we help our clients, we feel when they grow, we grow with them.
Exactly.
And we're proud of what they're doing, because for us, we just want to create an impact, a greater impact, and promote their skills. A lot of people don't even realize some of the skills that they even have.
Exactly.
I've had people on my podcast that have come up and say, "Oh, I want to be on the podcast, but I just wanted to keep it short, maybe 10 minutes. I've just got a simple job. I don't do anything creative." And these podcasts are going on for like 20 minutes plus. And I'm like, I think we probably should stop now, because we're going to stop losing some of our viewers. But no, there are people, sometimes people don't even realize what skills they have. And that's what really drives my passion. And that really gets me excited. Like, wow. Someone's really cool. This is really cool. Yeah. You're doing things you didn't even realize you had, and that's just
like, for example, you have a talent that people start talking to you and they're comfortable around you. Yeah. That's your talent, and that's the kind of safe space that you create for them. So yeah, that's your talent.
No, exactly. Like I've had people say that you ask really like comfortable questions, like because we're quite anxious. Because I'm really like, you might know this, but I'm actually really laid back. I'm really relaxed about things, right? So you've seen a lot of like people who come from the podcast. I'm just like, well, just pop in. If the door's open, I'm open to see. There's no real structure. Whereas people find that quite frustrating. It's like, oh, I need to know a set time, and I'm like, yes, like I'm a bit more like YOLO. So YOLO is you only live once, like anything can happen. So even like when I work with quite a lot of influencers with our brand, because I'm trying to build the brand. So I'm working with different influencers, different people, and I'm so last minute, so relaxed. Like they would have asked me a query and I'll get back to them after like 2 months. It's really bad. There's points where I'm like, I'm probably going to lose them, but then I don't. Thankfully I don't, because I probably get really big beatings from my chair people who are above me. But no, that's just my personality, and that is something. And I think my relaxed nature keeps other people relaxed, and they feel comfortable. They were like, no, this is actually all right. This is kind of cool. And I'm hearing quite
vulnerable stories, and they're comfortable with sharing these stories because they feel this is good and because it's actually going to...
Because you create that safe space. You're not someone who will judge like someone very easily. And even if you do, it's probably
It's probably like in there. Like, yeah, exactly. I'm really, really chilled out. Like I'm open to people's ideas and perspectives. Like I want to hear, and I want to understand why people think a certain way or do certain things that are complete. And especially when they're out of the ordinary, I'm like, okay, I don't get it, but I want to know why.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Yeah. Just because I love to learn. So learning and understanding is something that are quite close to me. So
yeah. Being a good listener itself is a big quality,
Okay, so no, I think listening is a beautiful quality, but it's something I like personally, it's something I actually struggle with because like when someone's talking and you get really excited, I really want to jump in right now and say something, but then I hold myself back and then they've gone on a little bit of a tangent and I'm like, I really wanted to ask something now, but now I have to ask you something else because I've lost the moment because I didn't want to like jump in, so like because I want to be a good listener, but then I don't want to keep interjecting at every point. It's like, okay, what does this mean? What does that mean? Like, so yeah, finding the fine balance of when to jump in, when not to. So
yeah, I also struggle with it sometimes, but
you get excited like me, and you just want like I need to say this right now.
I genuinely do. It's also, but I don't think people like with me. I don't think people really mind it because it comes from the place of even yours comes from a place of curiosity. Exactly. So you just get the person sitting in front of you more excited about the topic. Like, okay, you know what, you're genuinely interested in, I'm going to tell you. So,
yeah, I definitely know. I won't be breaking your boundaries. I won't be coming too close to you because otherwise you're going to start pushing me away. So, outside of your outside of work, because I know you do direction and traveling, trying to find awesome scenes and all of that stuff, is there any other passion projects or anything on the side that you enjoy doing? That kind of keeps you sane when you're not because I understand your work is fun, but then you also need to do something fun but not work. Yeah, that makes sense.
So honestly, I love dancing. You know that. Like I love dancing. I love to sometimes I'm just like dancing alone for like a while if I don't feel like doing anything else, and I'll just traveling is one of the things, but sometimes when you don't get to travel so I like to go on walks. But it is all very connected to probably like relaxing from the work. Like it is something that I do apart from that. And of course I teach. So that's something because I've done my graduation in English literature and I've done my MA as well in English literature. So I teach that as well. Yeah, so I teach. I sometimes have fun, like I play games or something. That's the maximum that I do, which sounds boring, but it is what
no, it's not boring. I just find it's the thing I'm just thinking in my head. What's going on is that you're in like the whole arts industry, the media industry, and dance is one of the media. I'm like, this girl doesn't do anything other than like the arts and the media. That's what I was thinking. I was like,
yeah, I probably don't because I've been the lucky few that I've made my passion into my profession.
Exactly.
So what I do itself gives me so much joy and so much satisfaction and so much that everything else just contributes to me doing that. And sometimes that does happen that way you don't want to write or you don't want to work and all of that, but then something you always use art as a break for something. So it's always different kind of things that you do, and then I dance. But it's all part of. You're right. It's all part of what I'm doing. Yeah.
And even like people say, what do you do to unwind? People say, or you ask people, what's your passion project, or what do you do to unwind? And they're like, I watch Netflix, and now all I'm thinking is that Jahnvi does just for fun. Like this is work for her. It's like what kind of fun work is this? Watch movies because you're actually learning from other series and shows.
I do watch a lot of films.
So and you do it because it's work and it's fun, right?
Yeah, but I don't really look at it.
You're living your best life, girl.
I am. Woo! Wow, that's exciting. No, so I do watch I watch a lot of kids cartoons.
Okay, and animation.
And animations. Nice. And Like, I don't know if you guys have it, Wings Club. Have you watched it ever? Like when you were kids? Like, no. Okay,
You can tell us what it is.
yeah, no, that's like fairies and fantasy and all that. So that's what, yeah, I love that. I love that kind of stuff where it's like all fantasy and there's this different world that opens from our world and all that. But then again, it is part of what I do. But it's different and I like that. Sometimes I watch kids' content.
So have you done any animation movies or cartoons yet?
So weirdly, I have not, and I'm ready.
So maybe you're ready now because you mentioned you watch a little cartoon or even like a children's show. I think that'd be kind of cool, like new little venture, like Jahnvi's children's TV and Jahnvi's adult content. Like I don't know, like.
So that is honestly something that I do look like I want to do in my future.
So it's on the radar, cartoons and animation.
It's something that I've been. It's consciously, subconsciously something that I've been thinking for years at this point. Like the first story that I had written was also because, for me, arts was always this way to like open up imagination and, see a different world that probably exists or doesn't exist, And as kids, having that kind of imagination and, when I was a kid, I used to always imagine this room is full of water and all that. I'm sure everyone does that. But yeah, I don't think that has changed very much since... Even when I've grown up. And I think the more you grow up, the more you want to be connected to the child self of you.
Yeah, then your inner child. And I think you found that quite early in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there was a phase when I wanted to grow up and I did not want to do childish things and all. But now I think I want to go back to that, that person who initially started loving what she was doing.
That's amazing. I love that. It's like going back to where you came. Oh, I like that circle. Yeah. Awesome. Well, it was so lovely speaking with you and learning so much and learning how your passion is your work.
A blast talking to you. I mean, we've spoken for so long, so many times, but it's fun. It's always fun.
I'm going to film it this time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.